local businesses could come on and tell us what they were up to, whether they were pivoting, how they were staying afloat, how we could get in contact with them. And it's kind of grown and is carrying on. And now we're getting some amazing guests from all over the world. This week, last couple of weeks, has been Welcome to America Week, the States Week. I think we've had some great guests from the States, and we're finishing off the week with yet another one. This lady is wonderful. She's Diana Acsente. I hope I've got that right. She was from Romania initially, now lives in Georgia. Author of the 45-minute business breakthrough guide. You can get that, download that from her website. Has a special talent in creating competition-crushing marketing for your businesses. So we were just chatting before, and I will certainly be having a phone call with her as well myself. But let me just introduce you then to this is the lovely Diana Acsente. Is it Acsente, Diana? Sorry, I should have checked beforehand. Yes. Diana, you've got a doctorate in engineering. You've lived in the States for the last 20 years. You've been in DC, Washington, DC, and more recently in Georgia. How on earth did you go from a doctorate in engineering to growing people's businesses?
Well, thank you, Nick, for having me first. I love the business part, and I had that inclination for it. I remember when I was in Romania and I was working with a Hewlett-Packard. We were one of their main distributors in Romania, and it was funny how I discovered marketing being something that I love to do while I was there. And it was funny. I will tell you a quick story. We used to have, I used to have a budget in which I needed to put the best I can, the money, in the right place to create the exposure for our company. And I just wanted to negotiate with a company that was one of those I think it was CompuWorld, if I remember correctly. It was one of the news, right, the book and magazine, and they had huge covers. For the cover, it was a huge expense to put ourselves there, and then in the middle, whatever. And then I asked them, how about if you put anywhere in your newspaper, put us upside down? And they looked at me and said, what do you mean to put you upside down? Like a print mistake. And they were laughing at me. I was like, oh, we can do that. And then my boss was like, okay, that would be kind of weird. Why do you want to do that? It's because we've just wanted to interrupt people and just look at it and say, okay, what is this? Obviously, they didn't have a price for what I asked. And in the meantime, I just got the opportunity to come to the US. And when I came to the US, in the airplane, I was looking and browsing some magazines, and guess what? I saw the same thing that I was asking them to do. And I took that, I was so proud. I took it home and I showed it to my boss and I said, okay, I think I decided I'm going to move to the US because look, they're doing what I'm thinking. And you guys wanted to stop. I mean, you didn't think this was a cool idea? That's how I kind of probably got my first inclination, and I was excited to look at ways in a creative possibilities and do what we can with what we had, right? We were kind of used to do that. So when I came here, English was obviously one of the barriers because I could not say that I was able to, and even now I have the accent and everything, so I would carry it along my life. But it was funny to see that. That's why I chose the computer science route. In a way, I was intrigued by everybody was in such a need, but I didn't want to just be in face to face with a coding all day long. That wasn't me. So I loved the people side. I went and always kind of took the roles of something in between the business and the computer space. And I was a liaison between those two teams, which it fit. It was such a need also here because the IT guys wanted things to be done in a certain way, and the business kind of bothered them with all kind of things that they wanted to. And I just found it the perfect place to kind of make everybody happy on the left and right side. So that's how I got into this. And when I had I was a consultant for most of the time, working for government agencies. And at one point when I came in Georgia, it was the moment when I said, okay, finally I can take the time and really do something that I love. And what is that? It took me a while to kind of put the focus back on what I like to. And that's how I got into this.
Oh, it's amazing. Always amazing how people get into things in different ways. I was an accountant by trade, decided, I was in my mid-40s, or late 40s, did I really want to be an accountant for another 20 odd years? And no, I didn't. It wasn't something that I grew up wanting. It was, I always say, accounting is a profession people drift into. And then if they're lucky, they drift out as well. And actually do something that they like. So how's it working now? Your website is really fascinating. Two things. One, you've got some really intelligent blog posts that are really educational. So guys, if you get a chance, we'll pop the links in. Go and have a look at those. They're really amazing. And of course, guys, if you're watching, then obviously if you've got any questions for Diana, please do drop them in the comments too. But yeah, so now you're working. You joined with the biggest e-learning marketing package. I believe it's 31 modules. How did you develop your relationship with them?
Yeah, I love to. What I studied, it was knowledge management, and we learned there that we don't want to reinvent the wheel. We want to, if we can, take something that exists and make it better. And that's what I think I'm doing right now. I picked up and I partnered with a few things that I thought that they're useful and that are also very well done already. And I'm putting the spin on them. And I also integrate. I always love the interdisciplinary kind of approach to things. I thought that we can learn from the nature. We can learn from so many other disciplines. We can learn from medicine. We can learn from just looking outside of the nature. We learn a lot about leadership. We learn a lot about how to do to actually conduct our business or how to interact and connect with people. So that's what I kind of put together. And when I'm working with a client, I'm looking at first thing to understand where they're coming from and what's the impact that they would like to make.
Right.
Because if they don't have that, if they're into the business just to make some bucks, it's different how they show up than if they're there to look at their heart and say, I'm here to serve for certain views that I have. I want to put something. I want to make something, leave something behind me. Like that's a different level of. So I love to work with those kind of people that have something that motivates them, and I'm there for them to. When somebody's telling them that that's not possible, that's kind of turns me on. Okay, so I'm like, okay, if you tell me that something is not possible, now I'm gonna do it because I know there are things, especially when we put the right people in a room or around the table, right? We get to see different things from a different perspective, and they will always you're going to find a way if you have the right intention. So I love to work in that area, and after that we just everything else, putting systems in place, looking for resources and apply them as you need to your own process. That's my, I think it's an engineering approach.
Yeah. And it's a bit like don't reinvent the wheel. Yeah, I mean, some of the when I was pricing healthcare before I got out of accountancy, I was working with a guy who had a degree in engineering, and we were basically pricing and writing contracts together. And yeah, his thought processes were absolutely spot on because there were processes and everything we could do by a process, which was great.
I think it is, and you take from a mom who's planning her day and she wants to make sure everything looks neat and clean in her house. It's a process. She's putting things in place, and then she's finding better ways, and then the kids come in and intervene, and then you kind of start inventing something new that will work for that environment. And taking that simple, or it's not simple because it's complex, okay, running a household, it's not something simple, but going in the largest organizations or mid-size, it's still the same.
And so you work for different organizations or provide yourself to different organizations. Are there certain sizes of organizations? So could you help the startup person with the idea. I'm thinking particularly at the moment with where we are with the COVID issues at the moment. A lot of people, myself included, you know, our clients just shut down at the end of March and have hardly resurfaced since. So we have to do different things. So you've been able to help people through a change process like that.
Yeah, what I call it is like, hey, this is a great opportunity to reinvent yourself.
Yeah.
So looking at how the environment is going to, obviously it's going to be a player in what we're doing in our life. So if we can take the approach and say, okay, if the environment is going to change, I need to be open to change at least. Or if I don't like something that I'm doing, right, I need to kind of change so I can create a different environment. I think it goes both ways. So I've seen that the way I could see the COVID is definitely affecting the most are those people who are a little bit too stuck into the mindset or the frame that they put themselves into. Because and I think that's happening because they're stressed, and it's obviously a good reason to be stressed. Obviously, that if the income is not there, for some it was wiped out. You couldn't have it zero, right? Other people have some multiple streams of income, which is always advisable to, if you could. And some of the things are popping up right now as saying, yeah, I'm glad that I've done certain things in the past and now it's helping me. I never knew that I would get into this position, but I'm relying on certain decisions that I made about 10 years ago or about I don't know when, and then just join some of the things that are helping me right now to still bring an income. But those that are scared, there is a reason for why our brain is not working right when we are in fear or in a state of being scared. So as soon as they relax and as soon as they could actually look at this, I'm not saying let's be all optimistic, because again, that may sound too easy for some people. It may be easier for me, but having an outlook at, or at least looking at if this is true for everyone, which I think it is, in everything that exists that may look bad, there is something good, and in everything that is good, there is something bad. Yeah. So if this is an universal truth, if we kind of can take ourselves and look at that, I think it can help us relax and just look that now after we pass that moment and don't stay so stressed, right? Don't be so fixed into holding on the past, holding on the things that we had. We can create something different. And with the help of a coach, obviously, or the help of other friends or people who are looking at the situation from a different perspective, that will help a business owner to realize that they have obviously different options. There are always an infinite possibilities.
Yeah.
It is. And if we know that that's happening, then you just have to pick up what you can from the first and just start moving slowly, not a huge change, because I know people don't love to change by the nature. They're like, oh, I'm not going to just do something crazy overnight. But they will, if they can put their mind to, that's what the mindset is such an important thing for the business owners. I discovered this in my journey. That probably everybody now, people are saying that it's so much more important than even the skills of whatever you're doing. So it's critical to have them get out of that loop that probably it's not even true. It feels so true, but it may not really be.
Yeah, that is so true. When you talk about mindset, I've spoken to so many different business owners from different industries, and one of the key chains that holds them all together is a healthy, a very positive attitude to change and a massive mindset work, because everything you create is at first
in your brain.
So it's translating that into reality, and it's one of the interesting ones. We were chatting the other day to a guy that Dom was talking about. I asked him whether he'd read any books that had changed his life, and he was talking about. He said, he said, remember back in 2006 there was that film, The Secret, and I said, I said, I didn't see the film, but I remember Rhonda Byrne's books and everything. And he said, oh, there was a book that inspired them to do it, and it was Wallace Wattles, The Science of Getting Rich. And it was so funny because I have a copy sitting on my bookshelf, and I said, yeah, I said, that was one of the ones which absolutely changed the way I started thinking. That's for sure. And yeah, suddenly things become possible. So no, that's totally valid. Was there any books? So if someone's starting out, would you recommend any reading matter for them that would help them on that score?
Yeah, I think I would say I love something that's called 3 Principles, and I want to discover how that helped also me. But the basic idea is, if we all understand, and Marisa Peer, which is also from your country, beautiful country. She's I watched her videos, and I learned from her as much as I could. She also looking at some of the, if we understand how our brain works, that's what her point was. It was around the fact that we need to understand that when we have a thought, the thought is going to create this feeling in our body. And if we have a happy thought, then we're going to be happy. If we don't have a happy thought, then we're going to be sad, right? So, and then from the feeling, then we're going to have to, if we stay with that feeling for a little while, then we're going to have a behavior. We're going to start behaving in a certain way. And we were taught to go back and just access the behavior and not the thought. When we, in fact, again, going back to the system, what if you ask someone who is behaving in a certain way, what are you thinking? Rather than interrupt them right there, instead of asking, why are you behaving like this, and blah, blah. They're not going to, it's too late in the game, in the circle, right? In the cycle that we're going through, to stop changing. And we don't want to change that behavior in that way by, even when we punish the kids or we look at other kids, if we ask them what we're thinking, then we have starting to have a conversation, they're going to start feeling something different, and then their behavior is going to change. So those are the things that I learned from the 3 Principles, and then from Marisa Peer's, and also looking at how our brain works. So I do have 3 books that I can just probably send them to you. They're all in my back here. They're interesting to be posted if you can post them. Yes, and I think it's very very important to understand how we work. I think there is nothing more magnificent than looking at how our body works and our brain works. It's something that I love to. I think it made me create a better understanding and connecting then with people from in different ways, because that's what we all have in common.
Yeah, I know. I love that. And that's a great idea. What we'll do after the interview, if you tell me the names of those 3 books.
Absolutely, I'll get them all out.
I'll drop the links in so you can go and find a copy. And also, guys, if you're watching, if you've got some books that you'd like to recommend to people that have helped you, again, drop them, name them in the comments, and let's get a whole little library of books that we can all go, so and so recommended that one. So yeah, I'll drop my little link in. That'd be good. One of the things that I noticed when I was researching you and on the website was that you do look for a lot of win-win collaborative outcomes, and so I wanted you to talk to us a little bit about that. But more importantly than that, actually, is can you tell us what is can you talk us through the process of working with you? So if someone wanted to come and work with you, what is the process that they should go through?
Sure. So I appreciated a win-win-win-win, as many wins possible, the right situation, because I think there is no, I won't get into any agreement or any kind of a business with anybody that I need to win and the other person will lose. I don't think that's fair. And I think there is always a way to create something that would be a win-win-win possible. And as many wins, that the better. And I structure that in my business. So there will be something for anyone. I'm calling, it was funny because the lady who created my logo, I loved it when I saw it, and I didn't know too much why I loved it. I just told her the colors that I love, and I told her my name of the company was Entrepreneurship, and I want to see what she's coming up, and she wanted to having more hints from me. I was like, no, just do your work. You're the best at it. I don't want to influence too much. You asked me enough questions. Let's see what's coming up. So Angie, she created this link, and then when I looked at it, it looks like just like a loop up, right? Like an E, an L. You can just see whatever it is. But I'm looking at it, and I said, this is pretty interesting because it shows us that we can leap. Anybody who wants to leap, they will make that. It's a journey. And I look at the moment where somebody wants to have the decision to make the decision that I'm going to go into this business on my own or with some friends or whatever that part is. That's a very different need for them, especially, and they're probably harder to coach or to help, just because they think that, okay, I know enough, I'm going there, right? And if you could just show them certain things that I'm telling them, I wish you won't make those mistakes that others have made. Just here is a quick roadmap. Here's what I kind of found to be true. See if that helps you. But I can't be so much involved in that process at the beginning because I know it's not going to help them too much. They need to discover. Their mindset is like, I'm ready, I'm going.
Yeah.
And it's hard. Nothing stays in their way. Plus, they're also, I would not advise them to invest so much into certain things. So that would be probably my best addition to their business, is to show them where putting the foundation in place. And the foundation is also very important. It's in the financing aspects. So I've seen so many small business owners jumping on a deal, putting a lot of money in Facebook ads, for example, exhausting their resources and not getting the clients. And when you play with technology, and especially what exists right now, so many ways in which you can do one thing, you can go nuts. I mean, you totally confuse yourself. You have no idea where to start. So that's when you had that very much energy and drive to start, that puts you down in a second. If you don't see results, people, that's what they need. They need to see results. They need to know that they're on the right path. Mm-hmm. So I think it's important for them to get someone that they trust with them in that journey at the beginning, that it's willing to be with them in a win-win situation. Don't charge them an arm and a leg again because they can't afford it. People, coaches and consultants, they have to realize that you're not going to make the most money from someone who's starting the business, but in the same time, you have so much knowledge that you can transfer, and you give them a little bit of hints that they will help them a lot. And if they have like a good idea, you got to think about it as a business investment too. Am I associating with this business because she has a great idea? Do I want to put my time here? Do I want to do it for maybe nothing at the beginning, or maybe very little? Or here is a tool that she can, have access, like the e-learning, for example, and just be more of a do-yourself. But I'm here to answer anything, and let's just ramp that up because it's a good idea, and I think it's worth it to be there and help them. Second part of the leap, this will be probably when you make the leap. The other one is when you evolve. So when you evolve, if you go on that journey, when you evolve, you kind of get to a point where everything goes well, and then you kind of hit a ceiling, and that ceiling is or hits a point where you need to scale. And that scale piece is, again, a very important moment, because most of the people, they will have to start and structure their business from the beginning, and to scale. Depending on what they want to do, they will have to think about that, because they will quick figure out that they don't have enough hours in the day to support and to do the impact that they can, and they by not having a conversation at the very beginning to broaden their scope or to show them what is actually possible. You have an idea that you want to help in a certain way, but if we talk a little bit, you can see that, oh my gosh, I can actually do this. How long it's going to take you doesn't matter, 2 months or 5 years, it doesn't matter. What's matter is like, that you can go and grow that much. So from now, every decision that you're going to make, you make it in the context of you making a lot bigger impact. And with a bigger impact, absolutely you're gonna have bigger revenues and profits, right? It's coming hand in hand. So that's probably the first thing that we're doing. We kind of assess where the business is. I'm doing that with understanding, going as deep as possible into why they want to do this, whatever that business is. Or if they show up and say, I'm stuck, I need to scale, then I know where they are in the other place. And then the last step will be, okay, how can we make you thrive? How can we make you make the most impact? And that will be that arrow pointing up and how much up you can go. And what I've seen there is also very funny when you start to enable a business to look at which other joint venture partnerships exist, that they're always going to help you a lot. Even at the beginning, whatever you want to offer, who else is going to offer and serving the same people that you just decided to help, and together, it's not about going in a competition. It's about you being creative, finding somebody else who can help. You both are now your offer gets even better. So why not going together into this journey? Because it's easier. It's much easier, believe me, to go with somebody else, even if it's not necessarily added to your company, but you have a good relationship and you can rely on it. You can share your wins, you can share your downs, with at least that much.
Yeah. No, I love that.
So that's pretty much the how we start.
But sorry, Karen.
I think that's very important to focus, to give enough time to this, arranging and putting this everything in a map and a roadmap, because after that, the execution piece, it's like in project management or anything else that you've seen, right? Planning, it's kind of okay, we plan, and then when you start executing, it's easier to execute a good plan than not really looking. And I don't believe in plans that are so tight, because I know, again, the environment is going to change. So you got to be adaptive, you got to be agile. But I know that if you run through the process once, you'll run through the process again when something has happened, and you're going to learn quicker how to adapt.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I got that. That's really interesting. It was quite funny. I was chatting to someone the other day, and we were talking about how sometimes, when you start off on your journey, you set up your own business, is that you don't want to ask for help because it's a sign of maybe you're not sure what you're doing, so you don't want to show. But actually, no, you want to. The more help you can get, the better it is, because then you'll be more helpful to other people, and that's quite a funny little mind shift as well. Yeah. Particularly when you're joint venturing or looking to joint venture with people that are marketing to your same audience. So
I did, yeah.
And do you get some good successes with those, Diana?
I do. I think it's reducing the cost of the marketing a lot. And I'm going to tell you why. Because, for example, if you go to have a joint venture with an accountant, for example, the accountant is helping small business owners every at least once a year. They will need them, right? If not more often. My point is that you gotta go more often, because you don't want to have you don't get in the situation where you may pay you'll be penalized on your taxes just because you didn't realize that you made more money and you're supposed to send some more checks during the year or whatever it could be. And someone who has a passion to bake cakes or to teach kids, they don't care about those things. It's like, this will be the last thing that I need to learn now as a business owner. You want me to kind of go through the whole thing. So no, what I'm advising is find one, or let me recommend you one that's going to help you make it very easy for you to understand. Because again, accountant is not going to come and overwhelm you with all the information, but it's going to educate you in certain things, so you'll know when to come back and knock at their door again during the year. Don't come only one time, because you're going to get that accountant so much overwhelmed, and he may not be in the good position to help you just 2 weeks before the taxes are due. But they will have more time to advise you and to kind of look. look at your situation and create different things for you that will help you a lot. You'll help you make more money. So that's one of the strategies basically on how you're going to set up your company. Is it an LLC? Is it S Corp? There are certain things based on what you're doing that the accountant will come and help you. So I'm partnering with accountants because the two reasons: they have this knowledge more than I do. I'm just educating on certain things that I know they're important in the process, but I go to the expertise. I think the experts needs to do their job, like I'm doing my piece. The other person comes in, but we also serve in the same audience. So we're looking at business owners. Any accountant will be happy if I can spend some of the time with their business, with their clients, and their clients are going to now make more money. And now the accountant has bigger, better numbers to play with, right? I'm sure they will be happy to do that.
Yeah.
and again, go ahead.
I just suddenly thought, yes, I've been meaning to have accountants. Actually, I did have an accountant on the show not so long ago, but I think, do I really want an accountant on the show?
But I love what accountants. I mean, they're an important piece of the business, although they, look at the personality sometimes. But I found to be very interesting to work with them. I think it's important to. It's an important function, and the finance, one of the most important pieces. If you like to learn how to actually make money and keep your profit, because that's what I discovered by working with one of my mentors. It's just important to look at the numbers. It's so important. It was like, you're not gonna. You could have the drive that you want. You could also have going in with a open heart, and want to do good things. But if you ignore, you're gonna price things in a very wrong way. You're gonna sell things that you haven't done market research. And I had experienced that with one of my clients. She was selling something like, I think it was 10 times less of the market. And she was like, "Well, I want to make it affordable." I said, "Yeah, but you can't make it affordable in that way. What if you just make that?" She was selling a huge jar of CBD, some kind of a gel that could help pain. I was like, don't do it at a big, like 8 ounces. If you want to make it affordable, create a 2 ounces or a 4 ounces kind of a price and price it right, so they will appreciate you. You make money. Otherwise, you're not in a win-win situation. You're losing money. And she was, it was a breakthrough for her, because she realizes that, yes, putting prices only with your heart, without thinking numbers, how would you pay your space here? Because you have a huge rent. How are you going to pay your people? So you have to know how to take all this into consideration. So I'm prepping them for having this meeting with the accountant, and the accountants are sending me their clients so they can just get better and better, because they're not going to like to have this kind of discussion. They don't have patience to go through everyone. And although I might say that sometimes I might lose my patience, no, with the people, with the owners, I'm very patient. With myself, I might not be as patient when it comes just to me, right? But with others, I love to take the time, and I'm hard-headed enough to stay with them until we make sure that they get it, right?
Oh, yeah. Good. Yeah, no, it's interesting. Actually, the accountant I had on the show, she was the only accountant I know that does a live stream into TikTok as well. So she live streams advice on all the different platforms. And she was on TikTok. I said, "That's incredible." I mean, so I take my hat off to her. So she said, "So yes, yeah. I need to find more." It's a good point, because you're right. They apart from the lady I was talking about, but typically accountants aren't so marketing oriented. So yeah, you're providing like a symbiote of natural complementary services. Yeah.
And it's not just about the marketing. And marketing, it's a place that, I was giving you that little things that I have, or you asked me for a quick graphic or a quick image. I just, most of them are starting to they're going back to the example, exhausting their funds, they're going to be very disappointed. So it's much wiser to form partnerships and look at who else can introduce you or offer your help you to grow enough until you're going to start looking at spending money on the marketing. And here's the trick that I also found that it to be it's not so obvious. Depending on what are you offering, right? You may have the cost, a fixed cost, or a also that it's what we call here overhead. But then it's easy for you to calculate how much money you're going to make from what you're doing. But let me take an example for the constructors, so people who are working in constructions. They create their prices by thinking that they actually calculate what their prices is going to be in a wrong way, and they lose money. And because you have a fixed cost, but you also have the cost that is going to cost of goods sold, we call it in accounting word. But it's more of a cost that is going to help. You need to spend money to make money, right? Pretty much everybody. If I sell you something now, I'm going to just have the cost of the material. If I sell 100 pens, right, it's going to be different if I sell just 5 or 10. And what am I spending? So that spending, they usually take it away from the equation. That for some reason they're not putting it, or they're not adding it up in the right way, and they end up creating a price for what they want to sell that actually has a margin, a profit margin. And if the profit margin, it's not, there is also an index that we want to look at it. Are you in the right, people who are doing what you're doing, they usually get 30% profit margin, or 25, or 40, or
like
5%.
Metric,
5%. So when you calculate all that and you realize that, okay, if I get into the business of baking cakes, this is what I need to be. They don't do that. They don't do this research. They're just adding, calculating, and say my work, my time, my worth of time, or they pricing as like the other bakery is pricing, which again is not a good thing to do in a way, because you can't compare yourself with the other bakery and just say I'm gonna because you don't know how they create their own prices. You don't know their situation. You don't. Every business is different. So those two things that are coming into combination to kind of help you create your profit margin. If you don't do it in the right way, then now when you're going to go and put an ad out and you'd say, oh, I'm spending $100, what's a big deal, $100 on the Facebook ad, you'll see that you'll actually need to get so many more clients to cover that, because the profit, you're just dipping into the profit directly by pulling $100 and putting on advertising, and that may not going to be worth it, looking at how many clients you need to get out from that $100 that you put out in order for you to just get the client. Some people are happy, oh, if I get a client, then I'm okay. If you get a client, you get a cake, you're going to be okay. I don't think that's true, because if your cake, it costs $100, and if you spend on Facebook $100, guess what? You're not going to make $100. If your profit margin is 25%, you need to make 4 cakes.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So that's what I see, that not adding the right ingredients into the calculations, and to kind of looking at the business from the financial perspective as well. They're losing money, and it's important because that's what drives them. They don't. Some people are looking at revenue being the most important, but it's not the most important part. The profit is probably the most important part that they need to understand.
Exactly. I think there's a phrase, certainly in the UK, we have it: turnover is vanity, profit is sanity. So, need to make money as opposed to just generate turnover. So that's very articulately explained, I think. Thank you, Diana. That was really great.
Yeah.
So going forward, Diana, how do you see your company developing going forwards over the next few years? Do you see yourself staying, or do you see yourself diversifying, doing something else? Or
my vision for the company is to educate in one sense. I would like to open right now an experience-based learning for teens, because I think the more we can show the teens that there is a possibility for them to open their business and think about making money before they actually have to go and spend the money for a college. That's a big thing for me to do. If I could do that, that would make me happy. So I'm working right now to look at the materials that I have and put them together for 6 to 9 months, probably, while kids are in school, having like a club, business club. I'm not sure what am I going to call it right now exactly, but I would like for them to join and take those concepts and at least adopt them to a plan that they may want to just play with, but be real with it. Because I think they can make money. I think parents, when we go to school, yes, we're taught that you need to acquire so much knowledge so you could become a good candidate to be hired in a good company. But there is also the other view that why not gaining the knowledge that you need, so you may, at one point, you may like to open your company. And the same thing happened to me when I came to the United States and I was renting a house. I was renting not a house, but I was renting a space in a house. And this lady was renting. She was single, so she had like five bedrooms, I can remember, and she gave me a master bedroom. And then I was looking at that situation. I was like, okay, why am I renting when I can just go and buy a house and I can rent to somebody else, right? It's the same concept that the kids can also think about it. Do you want to become an entrepreneur? What do you need to learn now that will open that avenue for you? So that would be one thing that I care about it, and I think I would love to see implemented in the near future, very near future. And then I would love to get. I put started to arrange everything that is needed to start working with government as well. I like to go back in that environment because I know there is such a need for changes that will bring more of the entrepreneurial spirit into the government. I think they need that. They need to look at how can we do things, not just from policy perspective, policy and procedures, but putting more of their heads together. I think what I've seen when I was working, it was people are too much in their pipelines, right? They're working too much, not communicating in the right way and putting everything that they have in mind at the disposal of a situation that they need to solve. It was this, I need to be told what to do, or I'm not going to come up with an idea. The leaders were not encouraging their employees to come out and say what they have to say. So as a consultant, I was in a different perspective because they were paying a lot of money to have people as us there. So they feel like they're listening, but they're not necessarily agreeing. So it's consulting. When you do consulting, you gotta be very, very in my mind, I was doing more of a coaching. I think when I was there, I was prompting them to come up with the idea that I might thought it's a good one, just so they can own it and implement it, rather than just say, "Oh, she told us to do this. Why should she do this?" Right?
Yeah.
So I see. I would love to make an impact there. So I'm forming a team right now that will help me to deliver the work, because I'm also like to keep some time with my kids and with my family. I have other things that I need to be present to, but I don't want to be a bottleneck for what's possible to be done. And I work with other people who like to become small business owners as consultants and coaches as well, and give them access to the information that we have. See how we can form an army of people that are willing to help small business owners.
Yeah. Oh, I absolutely love that idea. I think it is so needed, and particularly in government. My before I worked for myself, and I was working for the charity, and our big client was the UK Ministry of Defence, and they were a nightmare. They were a nightmare to make contracts for, because they didn't understand what it was they were asking for. That was the crazy thing. So we came up with all sorts of innovative solutions for them, and which they just didn't understand. It's like, it doesn't say that in our box we need to tick this box and tick that box and all those things. So no, I think that to change that sort of culture, I think is brilliant. And so finally, with time flies by. I love it. We've got some great guests, and the time flies by. So how can people? What's the best way people can get to know more information and get to work with you? Obviously, we're going to put the website links in the comments, everything. But is there any other way people can get in touch with you?
Yeah, I'm very much of a face-to-face as much as I can conversation. So I'm inviting everyone to use my calendar. I have a Calendly, and pick up some time, and we can talk to one another, understand the situation, see how I can be more of a help, how I can recommend them, where I can guide them to. I work with smaller groups, or I give them access to a do-it-yourself, but also be myself available for them while they're doing that, and also more of a involved face-to-face consulting or coaching during every week. So I work in that capacity right now, but I would love for them to start with a conversation and look at their situation. I can do a quick health check.
Oh, that's always good. And of course, it doesn't matter because we do it like this. It doesn't matter where in the world people are, because
it doesn't matter. We just have to coordinate on the timing. That's all. So obviously, I go to sleep quite late, so I think I'm quite. I remember about us last night when we were checking on what we're going to do tomorrow, what time. So
yeah, good job. You go to bed late and I get up really early. It worked.
Perfect. Yeah.
Brilliant. Diana, thank you so much for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure and privilege to be able to chat with you today. Really do appreciate it. And guys, as we say, we'll drop all the links in. Hey, a health check. I've already said to Diana that I'd love a health check with her to help me. Where am I going with the interviews? We'll find out. Well, I'll certainly take advice, that's for certain. As always, guys, thank you very much indeed. We are back. We've got a couple more stateside guests next week. So it is in the UK time. It'll be 7 o'clock on Tuesday and Wednesday in the evening because of our Californian guests we have. But we might sneak in a cheeky UK one just in between, so we can have something to do in the afternoon while we're back. Okay, Diana, thank you so much.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you very much, everyone.
And I'll see you all on Tuesday. Take care.
Bye.